Welcome to the latest edition of Kernels from the Cornfield. No husk, no alls, no shucks. News with a dash of commentary to spice up your fare for Monday, January 19th, 2015. From my hospital bed at Regional Hospital in Terre Haute. Global threat grows. The security across the world is threatened on this Monday evening. The threat grew over the weekend and extends from Europe to the Arabian Peninsula to Africa and to the US of A. Across Europe, terror cells have been disrupted. Members arrested from Great Britain to France to Belgium, which has the largest per capita numbers of terror suspects on the continent. To Germany, to Spain, to Greece, and Italy, intelligence and police agencies have been rounding up persons of interest. Most have returned from fighting alongside the Islamic State or have trained with one of the Al-Qaeda affiliates. In the US of A, there is still a racist terrorist who bombed the NAACP office in Colorado Springs, still on the loose. There's the radicalized 20-year-old Ohio man who planned to pipe bomb the U.S. Capitol and kill people running from the building with rifles and 600 rounds of ammunition he bought and led to his arrest last week. With President Barack Obama preparing to deliver his State of the Union address on Tuesday to the U.S. Congress, one thing is certain that he cannot say with validity. We are more secure and safer now than when he took office 6 years ago. First the White House, now Fox News. Don't tell me we are not living in the last days. Last week, the White House admitted that it was a mistake to not have a visible, recognizable face at the Unity March in Paris last Sunday. Now Sunday, Fox News and its anchors were out in force, apologizing for spreading rumors and not accurate news about no-go zones in Europe, where police do not enter and Sharia Islamic law is the only law allowed. Seems that's not the case, even though Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal is doubling down with eyes on the White House in 2016. Instead, what we have in Europe is no different than what we have in some of our urban areas in the U.S., where police and others are reluctant to go in the nighttime hours when gangs run supreme. Still, police officers go when needed, same in Europe. But will this reality change the dialogue? Will fear and distortion rule the day? Wasn't this a movie? Several years ago, I recall a movie where two teenagers took a crime spree and became national heroes. Of course, what has played out over the past week from Kentucky to Florida was no movie. Allegedly, the family of the boy and the boy thought the girl was, allegedly his family and the boy thought the girl was 19. She would use 4 checks to buy cigarettes. Nope, she was only 13. And when U.S. Marshals located the sleeping couple in a stolen vehicle in Panama City, Florida, the young man was more than ready to return home to Kentucky to face his medicine. The 13-year-old girl was transferred to family services. Honoring Martin Luther King. Today is a national holiday for the civil rights leader. What better way to commemorate his life than a staging of the 1965 Selma March? We have yet to arrive to that day which Dr. King dreamed about, but we have come far from those troubled days in the 1950s and 1960s. There are still too many on each side not willing to move forward. Recall that the Israelis had to wander in the desert for 40 years to allow those who still held on to Egypt to die out before the children of Jacob could go home to the promised land. Perhaps we may have to wander in our own desert a little longer before we can climb the mountain and enter the promised land. Sports Bone. The big game, that's the Super Bowl, is primed and ready, but not without some controversy. The New England Patriots, after routing the Indianapolis Colts 45-7, winning the AFC Championship, will face off against the Seattle Seahawks, winners of the NFC Championship, after sending the Green Bay Packers packing 28-22. This will be the sixth trip for the Patriots when they travel to University of Phoenix Stadium for Super Bowl 49 on February 1st. Oh yeah, the controversy. Seems the Patriots are accused of deflating the balls for the game Sunday against the Colts. It won't change the outcome, but if true, there could be the second big fine in as many years on the team. Who Act 2? Word is that the reason the U.S. was so sure that North Korea had hacked into Sony to get it not to show the rude comedy from Seth Rogen, The Interview, is because the U.S. had already hacked the Chinese script used by the North Koreans. Can we say self-righteous indignation? Speaking of Seth Rogen, it seems Rogen, who is such an expert on what is a good movie and is not, is joining up with that other American lover, Michael Moore, to slam the best-grossing January release of an American film, American Sniper. Never mind that it is also up for Best Picture of the Year for the Academy Awards. Moore and Rogen know best. The movie opened with over $100 million in ticket sales. Compare that to Rogen's $1 million, and Moore never doing much better than Rogen. When has Moore ever appreciated the US of A, except to try and take moviegoers' money? The subject of the movie is America's most decorated sniper with the most kills, and a former Navy SEAL, Chris Kyle. After 4 tours of combat, Kyle met his death trying to help another veteran with PTSD. But to Moore, Kyle was no hero. He was a coward. Equality March. On Friday, as expected, the U.S. Supreme Court decided to hear appeals from the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals on the issue of equality for same-gender couples. The 6th District is the only appeals court to uphold states' rights on the issue of marriage and equality. All the other courts to date have ruled in favor of a constitutional right for same-gender couples. State of the Union. President Barack Obama will deliver his State of the Union address tomorrow night before a joint session of Congress and in prime time. If what we have seen so far from the president is any indication, the speech will be a wish list of what will never become reality. While voters may have been clear a few months ago during the 2014 midterm election that what was wanted was for Congress and the president to work together for the good of the country. That does not seem the route that the president will take. The impression I'm getting is that back in kindergarten, first grade, the teacher would check the boxes, does not play well with others, and does not share when completing the president's report card. He seems to be determined to go it alone, no matter what the voters wanted, and whether he can get his way on anything. If all goes well, I will have my take on the State of the Union from March 10 and from the Cornfield Tuesday night. Thank you, readers and commentators. It is you, the readers and commenters, that make Kernels from the Cornfield. Special thanks to my fellow members, CNN's iReport community. How many of you notice how a subject of Kernels shows up in a day or two as topic on CNN? Boko Haram, call it what it is, to mention a couple. It is your comments, your participation, that gets the attention of the real news. Keep it up, and I'll try to stay out of the hospital. That's what caught my attention for Monday, January 19th, 2015. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Kernels from the Cornfield. I'm Mark Ivy. Good evening.